Your life changes the moment you decide that your mind will no longer wander in weakness, but will stand steady in power. The world respects the man who has learned to master his focus. A scattered mind attracts scattered results, but a sharp and disciplined mind attracts power, clarity, and opportunity. When your focus becomes sharp, your presence becomes silent yet powerful, and your thoughts become aligned with purpose, you begin to move through life in a way that cannot easily be ignored. The truth is that the most powerful men are rarely the loudest men in the room. Their strength does not shout. It radiates quietly. They move like a calm wind that changes the direction of everything without needing to announce itself. This quiet power comes from a mind that has been trained to focus only on what matters. When a man learns to command his thoughts, he begins to command his life. Sharp focus is not simply concentration. It is the deliberate choice to place your attention only on the things that build your future. Distractions appear everywhere, but the disciplined mind does not chase them. It understands that attention is the most valuable currency of life. Where your focus goes, energy flows. Where energy flows, results grow. When you wake each morning, you must decide what you will feed your mind. If you feed it fear, doubt, and confusion, those things will grow stronger. But if you feed it vision, purpose, and confidence, your mind begins to align itself with success. The mind becomes a powerful instrument that shapes your reality. There is also a certain power in becoming what many call a ghost presence. This does not mean disappearing from life. It means moving without unnecessary noise. The world is full of people who announce every plan, every thought, every intention. But the man who moves quietly conserves his energy. He allows his actions to speak louder than his words. A ghost presence means you observe more than you react. You listen more than you speak. You learn the patterns of people and situations. While others rush to prove themselves, you remain calm and watchful. This awareness gives you an advantage that cannot be easily taken away. When your mind is disciplined and your presence is calm, something remarkable happens. You stop being controlled by the emotions of the moment. Anger, fear, and frustration lose their power over you. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with clarity and intention. The unstoppable mind is created through repetition of powerful thoughts. Every thought you repeat becomes a belief, and every belief shapes your actions. When a man repeats weakness in his mind, he becomes weak in action. But when he repeats strength, discipline, and certainty, those qualities begin to appear naturally in his behavior. You must learn to guard the doorway of your mind. Not every thought deserves your attention. When doubt enters, you replace it with certainty. When fear appears, you replace it with courage. When confusion arises, you return your focus to your purpose. This is how mental power is built, not through sudden transformation, but through daily discipline. Each day you choose thoughts that strengthen you. Each day you act in alignment with your vision. Over time, your mind becomes like a sharpened blade, cutting through distraction and hesitation. There is a quiet confidence that grows inside a man who has trained his mind in this way. He no longer seeks approval from the world. He does not chase validation. His direction comes from within, guided by purpose and clarity. Because of this inner alignment, his actions carry a force that others can feel even when he says very little. People often misunderstand true strength. They think it comes from aggression or dominance. But real strength is the ability to remain calm when others lose control. It is the ability to stay focused when chaos surrounds you. It is the ability to move forward even when doubt whispers in your ear. When you cultivate sharp focus, ghost presence, and an unstoppable mind, you begin to walk through life differently. Obstacles no longer appear as threats but as opportunities to apply your discipline. Challenges become training grounds for your mind. The world will always test you. Situations will arise that attempt to pull you into distraction, anger, or fear. But a disciplined man remembers his power. He returns to his focus. He returns to his purpose, and he continues forward without unnecessary noise. Your thoughts become your silent commands. Your focus becomes your direction. Your presence becomes your power. And as you continue walking this path, something extraordinary happens. The mind that once wandered begins to obey. The emotions that once controlled you begin to serve you. Your life begins to align with the strength you have cultivated within. The man who masters his focus masters his destiny. The man who moves quietly moves effectively. The man who trains his mind becomes unstoppable. And the world always makes space for a man whose mind is sharp, whose presence is calm, and whose purpose cannot be shaken. A powerful life begins with a powerful focus. The mind is the most extraordinary instrument you possess, yet most people allow it to wander without direction. They permit distractions, worries, and unnecessary noise to consume their attention. When attention becomes scattered, energy becomes scattered, and when energy is scattered, results become weak and uncertain. But the moment you decide to master your focus, something begins to change inside you. Your thoughts start aligning with purpose, your actions begin to move with intention, and the world around you responds differently. Every man carries within him a creative power that shapes his circumstances. This power operates through the direction of his mind. Whatever you continually hold in your awareness begins to take form in your experience. If your mind repeatedly dwells on fear, lack, and confusion, those conditions will slowly shape your life. But when your mind is directed toward power, opportunity, and purpose, the same creative force begins building a completely different reality. The mind is much like a lens. When the lens is unfocused, light scatters everywhere and nothing becomes clear. But when the lens is sharpened and aligned, it concentrates light into a powerful beam capable of illuminating anything it touches. Your attention works the same way. The more deliberately you guide your focus, the stronger its effect becomes. A man who learns to direct his focus becomes impossible to distract from his purpose. The world constantly attempts to pull your attention in countless directions. Noise, opinions, fears, comparisons, and endless small concerns try to claim space in your mind. Many people spend their lives reacting to these distractions without realizing that their attention is being quietly drained. The disciplined mind refuses to give its energy to everything that appears. Instead, it asks a simple question before accepting any thought or idea. Does this strengthen my direction or weaken it? If the thought weakens your direction, it has no place in your mind. When the mind is guarded in this way, it becomes stronger every day. Directing your mind toward power begins with the thoughts you allow to repeat within you. Repeated thoughts become mental habits, and mental habits eventually become visible results. If you constantly repeat thoughts of doubt, hesitation, or limitation, those patterns slowly become part of your identity. But when you repeat thoughts of clarity, capability, and determination, your mind begins to operate from a place of strength. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that challenges do not exist. It means choosing to give your attention only to thoughts that move you forward. Challenges appear in every life, but the man who masters his focus sees challenges as instructions rather than obstacles. Instead of asking why something is difficult, he asks how it can be overcome. Opportunity also becomes more visible to the focused mind. Opportunities often appear quietly, disguised as small openings or subtle possibilities. A distracted mind overlooks them because it is busy chasing unimportant things. But the focused mind notices patterns, connections, and chances that others fail to see. When your focus is trained on opportunity, your mind naturally begins searching for solutions rather than excuses. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, you begin using the conditions that already exist. You become creative with your resources. You adapt quickly. You move forward even when the path is not completely clear. Purpose strengthens this focus even further. A man without purpose drifts from one idea to another, from one emotion to another, never fully committing to any direction. But when purpose becomes clear, the mind gains a powerful anchor. Decisions become easier because they are measured against that purpose. When a distraction appears, the focused mind asks whether it serves the purpose or weakens it. If it ends the purpose, it is ignored without hesitation. This simple discipline protects your attention from being stolen by trivial matters. The ability to maintain this level of focus is not something that appears overnight. It grows through daily practice. Each time you redirect your attention from distraction back to purpose, your mental discipline strengthens. Each time you refuse to entertain a negative or weakening thought, your mind becomes more obedient. Eventually, the mind begins cooperating with you, instead of wandering against your wishes. Instead of constantly fighting your thoughts, you begin guiding them with calm authority. Your attention remains steady, even when the environment around you becomes chaotic. This inner steadiness creates a powerful presence. People sense when a man is mentally centered. They notice the calm certainty in his decisions and the clarity in his actions. While others rush, panic, or become overwhelmed, the focused man continues moving with quiet precision. This does not require loud declarations or dramatic gestures. True mental strength often appears as calm simplicity. The man who has mastered his focus rarely wastes words trying to convince others of his capability. His results speak clearly enough. Directing your mind toward power also changes the way you speak to yourself. Many people carry an inner voice filled with criticism and doubt. This voice repeats memories of failure or imagined limitations. But the disciplined mind replaces that voice with one that encourages progress and strength. You become careful with the statements you repeat within yourself. Words shape mental images, and mental images influence behavior. When you consistently tell yourself that you are capable, focused, and determined, your mind begins aligning with those instructions. Over time, this alignment creates a powerful momentum. Your thoughts support your actions, and your actions reinforce your thoughts. Progress becomes natural because your mind is no longer pulling you in opposite directions. A focused mind does not waste energy trying to control every detail of life. Instead, it concentrates on the actions and thoughts that are within its influence. This creates a sense of calm confidence because you are no longer overwhelmed by things beyond your control. You simply continue directing your attention toward what strengthens your purpose, what expands opportunity, and what builds inner power. Each day the mind becomes sharper, clearer, and more disciplined. Each decision becomes more aligned with the direction you have chosen. The scattered mind reacts to circumstances. The focused mind shapes them. The distracted mind waits for motivation. The disciplined mind creates it through intention. And as your focus grows stronger, the path ahead begins to reveal itself with greater clarity because the mind that is directed toward power, purpose, and opportunity becomes a force that quietly organizes life around its vision. There is a unique strength in the man who learns to move in silence. In a world where many people feel the need to announce every idea, every plan, and every ambition, the quiet man carries a different kind of power. His energy is not scattered through endless explanations. Instead, it is gathered, protected, and directed toward action. Silence becomes his shield, and observation becomes his advantage. When a man begins to value silence, he discovers that he sees more clearly. The moment you stop trying to constantly express yourself, you begin to notice the patterns around you. You observe how people speak, how they behave, how they reveal their intentions without realizing it. The quiet mind becomes a powerful observer of life. Many people speak quickly because they feel the need to prove something. They want others to know what they are planning, what they believe, and what they hope to achieve. Yet every time a plan is loudly declared before it has matured, a portion of its energy is released prematurely. Ideas grow stronger in silence. They gain structure, clarity, and stability when they are protected from unnecessary attention. The man who moves in silence understands this principle. He allows his actions to develop quietly. Instead of broadcasting every step, he focuses on making each step effective. When results appear, they speak more convincingly than any explanation ever could. Silence also strengthens self-control. When you train yourself to speak less, you gain greater command over your reactions. Situations arise in life that tempt you to respond immediately with emotion. Anger, frustration, pride, and impatience all attempt to pull words out of you before wisdom has time to appear. But the man who values silence pauses before reacting. That pause gives his mind the space to choose a response rather than surrendering to impulse. This pause is where true strength lives. It is easy to react. Anyone can raise their voice or defend themselves instantly. But the man who waits, observes, and responds with calm clarity demonstrates a discipline that others cannot easily imitate. Moving in silence does not mean becoming distant or cold. It means being intentional with your words. When you speak, your words carry more weight because they are not wasted. People notice that when you say something, it has purpose behind it. Observation becomes your greatest ally when you learn to be quiet. While others are busy talking, you are gathering information. You notice details that pass unnoticed by those who are distracted by their own voices. You learn what motivates people, what influences their decisions, and what patterns repeat within certain situations. This awareness creates an advantage that cannot be easily measured. You begin to understand environments more quickly. You recognize opportunities sooner. You avoid unnecessary conflict because you can see it forming before it arrives. A quiet presence often carries a mysterious quality. People are naturally curious about those who do not reveal everything about themselves. When a man speaks constantly, others quickly understand his limits, his fears, and his weaknesses. But when a man reveals himself slowly and thoughtfully, he maintains a level of unpredictability that commands respect. Unpredictability is powerful because it prevents others from easily controlling or manipulating you. When your thoughts and intentions are always visible, others can anticipate your actions. But when you move with quiet awareness, your decisions remain your own. This way of moving through life also protects your inner energy. Every conversation, every explanation, and every argument consumes a portion of your mental strength. When you choose silence instead of unnecessary engagement, you conserve that energy for the things that truly matter. Your mind becomes calmer because it is no longer constantly defending itself or trying to convince others. Instead of reacting to every opinion, you focus on strengthening your own understanding. Your confidence grows from inner clarity rather than external approval. Many great achievements are built quietly. The preparation happens away from public attention. The discipline is practiced when no one is watching. The effort is repeated again and again without the need for applause. When the moment finally arrives and the results become visible, people often call it sudden success, unaware of the silent work that created it. Silence allows you to build this foundation without interference. While others are distracted by competitive, and comparison, you are strengthening your abilities. While others are explaining what they plan to do, you are already doing it. A calm and observant presence also influences the way others behave around you. When you are not constantly reacting, people feel the difference. Your composure becomes a stabilizing force within conversations and situations. Even those who are restless or impatient begin to slow down in your presence. This quiet confidence is not created by pretending to be silent. It grows naturally as your mind becomes more disciplined. When you know your direction clearly, you no longer feel the need to constantly announce it. Your attention remains focused on the work itself. Moving in silence also protects your dreams during their most fragile stages. Early ideas require patience and careful development. When too many opinions surround them, they can become distorted or discouraged before they have the chance to grow. By keeping your plans close, you allow them to mature with strength and clarity. As your actions begin to produce results, people will notice without needing an explanation. Success has a language that everyone understands. Achievements communicate powerfully without requiring long speeches. The quiet man becomes known not for what he promises, but for what he accomplishes. His reputation forms through consistent action rather than loud intention. People learn that when he moves, something meaningful is happening, even if they do not fully see it yet. Observation sharpens your instincts as well. The more carefully you watch the world around you, the more accurately you begin to sense the right moment to act. Timing becomes one of your greatest strengths because you are not rushing blindly forward. Instead, you wait, watch, and move precisely when the opportunity becomes clear. Your decisions carry greater impact because they are guided by awareness rather than impulse. The world is full of noise, constant opinions, endless conversations, and distractions competing for attention. But the man who learns to move quietly rises above that noise. His focus remains undisturbed. His awareness remains sharp. His actions remain deliberate. Silence becomes the space where clarity grows. Observation becomes the skill that reveals truth, and quiet movement becomes the path through which strength develops without unnecessary attention. The mind becomes unstoppable the moment a man decides that his thoughts will no longer control him, but that he will control his thoughts. Most people move through life believing that their thoughts appear randomly and must simply be accepted. They allow doubt, fear, anger, and confusion to enter their minds freely, never questioning whether those thoughts deserve to remain. But the disciplined man understands that every thought is a seed, and whatever seeds are planted repeatedly in the mind will eventually grow into visible results. Training the mind begins with awareness. Before a man can direct his thoughts, he must first observe them. He begins noticing the patterns that repeat throughout his day. He recognizes the quiet voice that sometimes speaks of limitation, the impulse that encourages hesitation, the habit of imagining problems before they exist. Once these patterns are seen clearly, they can be changed deliberately. The mind is incredibly responsive to repetition. Whatever you repeat often becomes natural to you. When a thought is repeated many times, it slowly becomes a belief. When a belief is formed, it begins guiding your actions automatically. This is why discipline in thinking is one of the most powerful skills a person can develop. By choosing which thoughts to repeat, you are quietly shaping the direction of your future. Many people unknowingly repeat thoughts of weakness. They remind themselves of past failures. They worry about what others might think, and they imagine obstacles long before they appear. These repeated thoughts gradually create hesitation in their actions. They begin to doubt their own abilities, without realizing that the doubt was trained into their mind through repetition. But the same power can be used in the opposite direction. When a man repeatedly chooses thoughts of strength, clarity, and determination, his mind slowly reorganizes itself around those ideas. Instead of imagining defeat, he begins imagining solutions. Instead of focusing on what might go wrong, he begins seeing what can go right. This change does not happen through a single moment of motivation. It happens through daily discipline. Every day, the mind must be reminded of the direction it is meant to follow. Each time a negative thought appears, it must be replaced with a stronger one. Each time doubt enters, certainty must be introduced with greater authority. The mind eventually learns through this repetition. Just as a muscle becomes stronger through consistent training, the mind becomes stronger through consistent direction. At first, redirecting your thoughts may feel difficult because old habits try to return, but persistence gradually rewires those habits until stronger thoughts begin appearing naturally. One of the most powerful disciplines is learning to guard the doorway of the mind. Not every thought deserves your attention. Thoughts are constantly passing through your awareness, but you are not required to entertain all of them. When a thought weakens your confidence or distracts you from your purpose, you can simply refuse to give it energy. Energy is what allows thoughts to grow. The more attention you give a thought, the stronger it becomes. When you repeatedly focus on something, your mind begins searching for evidence to support it. This is why a man who constantly thinks about obstacles begins seeing obstacles everywhere. But a man who focuses on opportunity begins noticing possibilities that others overlook. Training the mind requires patience, but it produces extraordinary results. A disciplined mind becomes calm under pressure because it has learned not to panic. When difficulty appears, the trained mind immediately searches for solutions rather than surrendering to fear. This calm strength gives a man an advantage in every environment. While others are overwhelmed by sudden challenges, he remains steady. His thoughts remain organized, his actions remain deliberate, and his decisions remain guided by clarity rather than emotion. Another important part of mental discipline is learning to speak to yourself with intention. The words you repeat internally influence the way you see yourself. When a man constantly criticizes himself, he weakens his own confidence. But when he encourages himself with strong and constructive language, his confidence grows naturally. Self-direction becomes a daily habit. Each morning you remind your mind of who you are becoming. You repeat thoughts that reinforce your discipline, your focus, and your determination. Throughout the day, you continue guiding your attention toward actions that align with your purpose. This repeated alignment slowly builds momentum. Your thoughts begin supporting your actions instead of resisting them. Instead of feeling pulled in multiple directions, your mind begins working as a unified force. Clarity becomes stronger as well. When the mind is trained to remain focused, unnecessary worries lose their influence. You become less distracted by minor problems and more focused on meaningful progress. Decisions become easier because your thoughts are no longer crowded with confusion. An unstoppable mind is in. At one that never faces difficulty. It is a mind that refuses to surrender when difficulty appears. It remains committed to its direction, regardless of temporary obstacles. This commitment is strengthened every time you choose discipline over comfort. Comfort often tries to persuade you to relax your standards. It suggests that missing one day of effort is harmless, that delaying your goals is acceptable, that small compromises do not matter. But the disciplined mind recognizes that greatness grows through consistency. Each day of focused effort strengthens your mental authority. Each moment of discipline reminds your mind that you are in control. Over time, this control becomes natural. You no longer struggle to guide your thoughts because they have learned to follow your instructions. The man with an unstoppable mind does not wait for motivation to appear. He acts because he has trained himself to act. His discipline carries him forward even when emotions fluctuate. He understands that feelings change, but commitment remains steady. This steady commitment transforms the way life responds to him. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming begin to appear manageable. Opportunities that once seemed distant begin moving closer. His confidence grows, not from luck, but from the knowledge that his mind will continue working toward his purpose. Through daily discipline, the mind becomes sharper, stronger, and more obedient. Thoughts align with intention, actions align with purpose, and progress becomes a natural result of the mental strength that has been carefully built through repetition and unwavering direction.